Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Samantha Powell, and that is the wonderful Barnard. Hi, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited. ISE is around the corner, and this is I think our second to last episode before ISE actually happens.
Absolutely. One more of these, then we'll be there. Are you excited? Are you prepared? What are you expecting to do this time around? What are you hoping to do that you didn't get to do last time?
I'm super, super excited. I have not yet figured out the outfits yet, so that takes a while. So I need to actually just put aside some time and figure out what I'm going to wear for our fabulous shows. No, but I'm looking forward to all the shopping and eating I'm going to do. What are you going to say?
What is the selection process when going about picking an outfit? Well, what do? You sort of start with a base color, and you add accents. I've heard these words used.
You know, that's a good question, Ben. One thing I do, I go back and look at the previous year. I can't repeat the outfits. I got to give the audience something new, right? So I got to make sure that I'm not duplicating what I did the previous year.
So wait, should I be doing that as well?
Well, I mean, yours are usually what? Black or a black suit or
tuxedo.
Do you have a brown suit?
No, I have a blue suit, a grey suit, a sort of whitish cream, kind of greyish suit. And that's about it.
All right.
I have some shirts.
You should wear those. I think that's a great idea.
Always safe.
Yeah. No, I love a good bright color. I think it's a good pop for the show. So, and who knows if I have any time to shop a little bit beforehand, see if I can pick up some Barcelona threads and some styles. Maybe I'll follow up with Karan because we have that fit check that he's done in the past.
Maybe I need to speak to Karan as well. Be like, Karan, listen, Sam seems to be bringing her A game for this AVIXA TV thing. She's talking about repeating outfits. She's talking about colors. I'm out of my depth. Maybe, he helps me out.
We're gonna get with Karan. Yeah, I think he can help me with my fits as well. So, but yeah, no, I think we'll be sure to be on each other's level. But yeah, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, from our last episode that we put out, we were talking to a lot of great companies about the experiences that they're going to have on their stands. So I'm definitely interested in that because I don't know, I think sometimes you can walk around a show like this, especially ones as big as ISE, and you can look at stands, you can kind of see technology and it's all kind of singing, all dancing, it looks great, but you don't necessarily get a chance to actually figure out how it works and have some hands-on experience. But the stands that I've seen where they really kind of create an experience and guide you through it can be really, just really immersive. So I'm interested to do that.
Absolutely.
Obviously, for maybe meeting up with all of our wonderful production team and yourself for a meal or two in Barcelona, check out some new restaurants and, of course, see our wonderful members.
Yeah.
There's just so much to do. And I think it's just the curse of ISE, really, isn't it? You'll never get to do half of what you planned because it's so busy, but we're going to try.
Much to do. Yep, we will try. And yeah, I'm so excited to look at all those booths as well. And I just learned so much when I'm there, just about all the new technology and just everyone you meet has just so much to share about what they're doing. So definitely looking forward to all of that.
Excellent. Me too. So should we talk about our episode today? Because we've got a special one for viewers and listeners today. We're going to be talking to Jeff, who's the Director of Product Marketing at Avocor. And it was a really interesting conversation because they were talking about the fact that they have a display for every situation and also just the kind of the breadth of their sort of catalogue of products was quite impressive. So let's have a look at that and see what they have to say.
Let's check it out.
Well, I'm joined now by Jeff Boggess. He is the Director of Product Marketing at Avocor. Jeff, welcome to Backstage Pass.
Hey, thank you for having me. I love this show. Happy to be here. So excited to jump in and have a good conversation a couple weeks before ISE.
Absolutely. Yes. We are recording this. I think we're just about the 3-week mark or so.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? How are the folks
Oh.
at Avocor feeling? I'm sure there's always the post-holiday rush right into the show, but
Yeah.
how are you doing so far?
I feel like right before ISE, or excuse me, right before the holiday break, you feel like you're ahead of the game, like, okay, we've been thinking about ISE almost for a year now since the last time we were there. And then you go on holiday break, you come back and you're like, oh my goodness, this is in a couple of weeks. So anticipation is high. We really have been loving the show. We feel like it is the show to be at from a global scale. And so excitement, obviously some nervousness on making sure everything is ready from a booth design and signage. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling over here and stoked to be there in a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah. The panic usually sets in once the calendar invites. It's like, my January looks free. And then, as soon as people get online, it's like gone. So
Right.
Well, yeah, excited to be talking to you a little bit about Avocor and some of the things that attendees can be expecting from the company at ISE. But maybe let's just start a little more high level.
Okay.
What has traditionally Avocor's focus been in? How has that maybe evolved in recent years? Give us just a little background on the company itself.
Absolutely. We are really excited to be in this space. We have been around since 2016, and we have been in this, we like to call it internally here, this metamorphosis, if you will. If you think about a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, we are definitely at our butterfly stage. The last 2 years have been incredible. I think we'll get into this a little bit later. We've been acquired by a big company called AUO, which we're extremely honored to be a part of now. But really the roots of who Avocor has been in the display. The displays in environment for corporate education and government. And I think at the core of who we are is just building communication and collaboration devices that work seamlessly in the room environment. So we work with partners like Zoom and Teams and Logitech and Jabra. The whole UCAS ecosystem is really at the heart of what we do just to make meeting experiences better. And in the last year or so, we've morphed and developed into providing even displays that are non-touch. So majority of our core lineup are interactive touchscreen displays, and we've now been able to build a portfolio that expands beyond that. You really think about Avocor, I like to say, any display, any space. So we've got 21:9. We have everything from a direct view LED now, 138. And so it's been a beautiful metamorphosis, if you will, in these last couple of years to see where we play and the pace of innovation that Avocor has really done a great job with the portfolio. Shout out to our product guys. So they're doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, and you think too, I mean, you're a pretty young company, but the amount of change that we've seen over, in the global market has been pretty remarkable, obviously, during this time. So how do you all continue to develop solutions in light of client needs that are really evolving at a very rapid pace nowadays?
Yeah, I think if you think about what happened during the pandemic and the pace of innovation where we all needed to take my roots come from working at Logitech, and that's where I got my start. And at that time we were predicting, or really just trying to pull people in from a work from home initiative, where we would go after enterprise companies and try to get them to schedule a week for all of the environmental things that come with carbon emissions and travel. The pre-pandemic, we were stoked to have 30 companies. And, over that 2 years, now everyone was working from home. And if you think about Avocor and who we are from a display provider, the amount of willingness to adapt technologies that bridge the gap between at-home participants and now people working in office, and then that bridge between, you really have to have your ear to the ground on what's needed. And so, how we answer that lifelong question to meet the needs of our customers is really staying up to speed on multiple industries that affect space. It's no longer just AV, it's space design. It's listening to facilities and how organizations are expanding their footprint or even condensing, traditional boardrooms, and the amount of rooms that you have within a certain space or floor of an organization has changed. We probably went pre-pandemic to having cubicles and huddle type rooms to more open office space and breaking down walls and really bringing a fluid workplace. And so I really think Avocor and our foundation of really being an answer for customers is diversifying and shifting research development. And so that is one area. I'll pause there because it's such a loaded question, but I think what has really changed for me as a product marketer is the way I research and to where I'm getting information of being really close to what customers are saying.
Yeah, it's a great point too that progress is not just a linear path, right? I mean, it can take all sorts of different bobs and turns and weaves and everything, and especially as different customers, different clients, and their companies have varying needs as well. So receiving that feedback, it's got to be critical. Absolutely. One of the things, real quick, just to touch on.
Sure.
The pandemic and the way that changed things. Obviously, supply chain was a huge part there. A lot of headaches and things. But you mentioned the acquisition. How is the acquisition with AUO helping in terms of supply chain and just being able to deliver on your customer needs when they need that equipment?
Yeah. It's really exciting. I think this is one of the most things that we're excited about here at Avocor. When you think about the most critical elements that will set Avocor apart moving forward, just in this space is, and from I would say our competitors, you definitely want to talk about differentiation. And this is just something that really just lends to how we're being able to play in a space that's actually, there's a lot of players in this space and folks who have been around for a long time. You can think about giants that are popping into your head now from a brand perspective. But I really think when we're focused on, government, education, and corporate environments, the supply chain really matters. And so let me break this down for you in just a couple of steps. And for all those that are listening, this is like, we're going to geek out a little bit on display manufacturing here. But if we talk about the component stage, this is where we take control from the very start with our partnership with AUO. So AUO allows us to be at, one of the largest and most expensive parts of building the display. It's roughly that 25% of bill of materials in that stage one. So through AUO, we have this unique ability to manufacture our panels ourselves, which not only gives us this unmatched quality of control, but results in cost advantage, not only for us, but for our customers. And that influences about 10 to 12% of that overall margin. We then move into step 2, which we also have control over, and it's the assembly and system integration, if you will. This is part that in our industry, we say putting the tops on the bottoms. And I think this process really involves the integration of the many components. That's another, let's say 12 to 15% of the product cost. And by owning this phase, we oversee now the entire product build process. And it allows us to ensure just really tight quality control. And I think that's what customers care about. It helps us reduce any potential bottlenecks when it comes to production and meeting timelines. But I think really more importantly, I think this control provides just the flexibility to innovate. And that's what you want to have in your display provider, someone who's also innovative. And so that's really the second part. And if I can just kind of land on the third part, there's a fourth, but I'll breeze over that one. But the third one is really important to us at Avocor because we are a brand. And so it distinguishes us as a brand with AUO from others in this space. And the brand equity, which people love and care about, we all love brands and attaching to things we like. This is around 30% of the total value stack in our business model. And so by having that direct hand in developing and refining the products and getting them to what we like, we're not just white labeling or an OEM. We are actually a trusted brand developing these things. And we could get into channel and end customer focus, but for me, those three things when it comes to supply chain are huge. And so as you can see, we're really excited about what AUO brings to the table and how we affect the supply chain.
Well, it is huge. You're right, because I remember reading, I think during the pandemic or shortly post-pandemic, about Tesla in particular, that they, because they had their own supply chain, they were able to react and be agile and nimble to a very challenging environment, right?
100%.
Whereas a lot of other car manufacturers were struggling at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I think that level of control is really helpful.
The agility, you that word right there is huge as well. I think agile, and you asked me earlier about innovation and how we're adapting to needs. You have to have that ability to move. You said, I think, bob and weave and adapt to the customers. I think that's especially when it comes to hardware. It's so critical in hardware. The space is flooded with software, and I'm always envious of how they can shift and pull things forward. But hardware it's not easy to move things around at the factory. Talk about scalar boards and things that are set in your earlier gates of build. So yes, agility is key, and I love that you touched on that.
Yeah. Also, I would think from the perspective of, you're, again, Avocor, relatively young company, but global, serving a global audience, but being able to react and respond to local needs as well. I would imagine there's a balance there, right? That you have to be able to achieve, and things like supply chain and other mechanisms, obviously, are ways that you are able to respond to those needs directly, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think responding to needs directly is such a pinpointed statement to make, because I really take pride in the fact that Avocor is a company that can be so, I guess if I could just be really plain, we talk to our customers like on the phone. Like when you call Avocor, you're speaking to somebody who's probably in Wilsonville on West Coast time, and available 24/7. You have somebody on the East Coast who's up early. We have service agents there, and when you call us, we're really diagnosing the problem that you're experiencing, or we're trying to understand how you're using our systems within the. I think there's several components that go into meeting rooms today. You have audio, you have video. There's video bars now. There's higher end systems for larger rooms, and so our service team is incredible. Shout out to them as well. And they're not just trying to troubleshoot you to solve a ticket. They're actually sitting down to solve the problem. They'll go out, meet with those partners. We have connection with all of the major AV providers, right? And so being able to listen and then troubleshoot on their behalf, I think that's really answering direct needs. And instead of, I don't know, I'm thinking personally in times where I've called a service report and I've been sent like a QR code or a link to follow these 3 steps.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's not
right.
It's not answering my question. And really, because of the size of company we are, which is, a medium-based business, what happens in support is being funneled into weekly calls for a product. So we solved that situation for that particular customer. But how can we then solve it for maybe more customers who are having similar problems? And that's the pride that we have here at Avocor, is being really close to our customers and then being able to answer direct questions and then scale them out for possible other customers who are having similar situations.
Yeah. Well, we geeked out a little bit on supply chain. Let's geek out a little bit on maybe software and how platforms like Microsoft, Zoom, Google are beginning to integrate more with Avocor products. Talk us through a little bit about maybe that ease of use and the level of integration that you have with some of those software platforms.
The thing that I say about Avocor is really any way you want to connect to our device, you can. So we have made it really easy. Plug and play is a huge phrase in this industry, but it really is that. And when you think about how software providers are, let's just take Zoom and Microsoft. They're maybe two of the biggest out there when it comes to software for meetings, virtual meetings like this. There are several ways to do this. There are PC-based solutions. There are Android-based solutions. There are bring your own device. Avocor answers on all of those fronts. So if you are using a PC-based deployment, whether that's because you have strong security within your enterprise or you have multi-display, which only a PC supports, you can easily, we've made Visa patterns on the back of our displays where you can mount that PC. And so not only connection into the device itself through HDMI or now USB-C, but also being able for mounting. We have something called Collab Touch that works with video bars that are using Android for Teams and Zoom and now Google as well. That it's a full solution where it comes with pre-threaded cables, so that we're thinking about cable management and mounting that bar onto our system. And again, one power into the wall, so you can power that bar through our display. So easeability and making it as simple as we can, not only for the customer to plug, but we're thinking about even our resellers and integrators. How can we make something that is very common within rooms easier for them from the display perspective? And so, yeah, any room, any display is what we say, but even that connectivity, making it as streamlined and easy as possible. So the last thing I'll say on this question is our portfolio really shapes the needs of those rooms. So there could be a heavy use of like BYOD, meaning folks want to just bring their laptop and plug in the display. We have displays that have easily accessible front inputs. Maybe you're looking for something a little more sleek, modern. You want a display with no, you don't want people touching your display, no front buttons. We have something like that where inputs are on the back. And so, again, being agile not only in how we deliver, but how we build, I think is also important. So that's one way we've been able to really be flexible with software providers on how these are being implemented in today's rooms, and really trying to be as easy as they are, because they do a great job.
Well, let's also talk, one of the big buzzwords that came out of the pandemic, and especially now in our hybrid work environment, is this idea of meeting equity. It's really critical. I think the conversation is starting, which has been great. But this is where an area where AV has had a real opportunity, I think, to kind of pioneer and help companies think through this idea of meeting equity, so that voices who can be thousands of miles away, they don't have to be in the room, but they can still have that same experience that people who might be in person at an office might have. So talk to me a little bit about what are some of the ways that Avocor is helping to create meetings that are more equitable for everyone who's in attendance?
Yeah, when I think about equity in meetings and how Avocor plays a part, what immediately comes to mind is our 21:9 display. So we have something called the L series, and it's a 105-inch ultra wide screen. And folks like Microsoft Teams and Zoom are now delivering formats that allow for bigger representation of our small boxes that appear. And so immediately, with not even talking about touch yet, you're being able to see people in a more representable way. They're not a small box on a screen. They now feel like you can see them and talk to them, which I just think is really important when it comes to having representation of yourself in a digital meeting. The next thing that comes to mind is bringing people up to collaborate. So we make a pretty strong category of touchscreen devices. And a lot of what we're seeing, and we talked about this earlier, or hinted on it at least, is how do you connect folks who are at home to folks who are in the meeting room? And a lot of people today are using collaboration. They are whiteboarding. They are writing things down in meetings. And so with our boards, we are able to not only bring people to the front so that there's a digital experience when it comes to in-person collaboration, but also being able to connect that remote participants. I think one of the coolest experiences, and this is something we're going to have at ISE for you to check out on a 21:9, is there's actually a couple partners we work with. T1V is a great one, where you have this digital canvas and remote participants can join in from their desktop, but see what's happening on this L series 105-inch in-room participation, where we are bringing up documents, we are annotating, putting post-it notes, and everything that's happening on that screen, our end participants are able to see that. This becomes really important for brainstorming sessions for global teams, for presentations that also have reference documents. We're seeing designers use this for having brand guidelines up, and putting together next steps of innovation within their product build. Lucid Spark is another partner of ours that comes on all of our displays. What's really great about this is they are another digital collaboration partner and provider, and we can bring in remote participants and run, very interactive and I would say highly participated meetings where folks are putting their ideas on this infinite canvas, and everyone, the folks who are, in office or the folks who are participating at home, can see this type of collaboration. So it's really cool, and I think it's something that we, as a display, folks don't often think about how that can be a crucial part of the meeting experience. And Avocor is able to just be, I think, a small player, but yet a big result when it comes to facilitating equity within meetings with those types of experiences. Just a few examples. I'd have to throw the plug here. Come by our booth and we can show you all of this. I mean, touchscreen and ultra wide are two components, but then you have video and how videos, are a big part, audio, and we're partnering with the major players like Logitech and Jabra. So much to talk about here, Mark. It's hard, to keep it condensed. But
yeah, and I always like to say sometimes, with AVIXA, we are actually we've gone fully remote. We've always been an international organization, and so after the pandemic, it really just made sense to lean into it. We still do have a headquarters space, so some of these tools, collaboration tools, are really critical for us. You can share your screen with a Word doc, and that's one way to do it. But there is something, and especially me as a visual guy, right? Like, I like being able to see the stickies and being able to cluster things together, and so many of those things that you could do on a whiteboard if you're in the same room together, being able to bring those into the virtual experience is super, super helpful. So it is nice to have a variety of different options for those kind of online collaboration meetings.
And it's about like those meetings living beyond the meeting as well. I think, to your point, the old way of doing things was taking photos of whiteboards, probably not security, are those phones secure? To all my folks from security listening in, no. So, I even think that second step of being able to come back to those digital boards, picking up where you left off, and doing that from home. So I was in office and I started something, but now I'm home, like flexibility. So Avocor provides those ways with our software providers. And then, I just think, again, bringing up AUO into this whole picture, I mean, they have a huge R&D powerhouse. And I think this means several things for us. I think it allows us to bring innovation like this to market quicker, but also like playing with things like AI. I know we are still learning on the capability there, but how does Avocor and what we're building from a display perspective play more in that space of, saying something like, "Hey, Avocor, like pull up my last whiteboard" or something. No promises, but this is something that we're definitely thinking about.
I was going to say, anything else that we can look forward to in terms of AI integration with Avocor in 2025 and beyond?
I think it's more of that, with the access to the R&D team and software development that we have, coming into a $13 billion company like AUO, who has tons of not only engineers, but product folks and on both hardware and software. I think you're just going to see some really great stuff come out of what we're doing from the software side. We already have an amazing UIQ, which is our kind of experience and repeatable experience across all of our displays, from selecting apps and remote management. I think software is definitely the future on being able to utilize AI in better ways with hardware. And so I definitely think look out for Avocor. We've got some amazing things in the works, and especially with this acquisition, it's huge for us, and we're really stoked on what AUO can really help Avocor with in the future.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned the acquisition and the value that brings, but let's talk about the value that it brings to maybe specific groups within AV, right? Whether it's distributors and dealers. Talk to me from the perspective of the people who will be visiting at ISE. What's some of the value that they should be thinking about when considering Avocor?
Yeah, I think when they're considering Avocor, especially from, a distributor or reseller, is and what makes us different is we're no longer just a display company. We are a full solution provider. I mean, this means that we can offer more than just cutting edge hardware, but we're bringing together hardware, software, and services into one seamless package, if you will, that addresses the specific needs of our customers like we've talked about today. And I think, moreover, the key strengths, and if I could say our value proposition, is our ability to remain technology agnostic. We integrate effortlessly with UC platforms, that the ones we mentioned today: Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. All of these will be on display at ISE, by the way. And I think this flexibility, combined with the innovation that comes from AUO's R&D, which we also touched on, and they're huge. We didn't even get to this, but their patent portfolio, I think this gives Avocor a distinct competitive advantage. We're focusing on building these long-term partnerships with our customers. Longevity. Avocor is not going anywhere. We are going to be around, and I think this is really important for distributors, resellers, also customers who are looking to standardize on a brand, for that longevity. And I'll finish with this. So whether it's, creating better collaboration spaces for corporate environments, or delivering, impactful digital learning experiences for education, our goal is to help our customers, and we define our customers as even the distributors and the resellers, to achieve the collaboration and communication objectives in the most effective way possible. So that means if it coming together to solve R&D issues, getting product faster, or meeting with you, Mr. Customer, to see how our display will best meet the needs of that meeting room, we have this unique value that we're bringing to the market.
Yeah. And you all are going to be in Hall 2, I believe, at ISE,
yes,
is that correct?
Yes, Hall 2. I bet you're going to ask me for the booth number.
Pop quiz. Let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
How quick can you Google?
How quick can I pull up my LinkedIn on our last post? Which I think is just a good plug. Please add us on LinkedIn. Please follow us. We have a couple of happy hours. I think we have a happy hour happening every day within our booth. So come. I know these shows can get really busy and there's so much to see. So I'm an advocate of seeing all the new technology. And if you have time to come by, we will make that time worth it at our booth. And so whether that's, over a nice glass of wine or beer at the end of the day, or getting into some real technical challenges that you're facing within your corporation, we're going to take the time to meet with you in our booth. I did all that promoting to see if I could pull the booth number. I'm still searching.
It was very smooth. You did. We could put a graphic up. Don't worry.
Okay,
we'll
perfect,
take care
perfect.
of it. Yeah.
Insert graphic here.
Yep. Well, the great thing too is, with touch displays and things, being able to see it and get it hands-on, right? To be able to experience it in person. It's one thing to look at a website, but to actually be there in person, especially for this type of technology, it always really it drives it home, right?
It's so fun. It's so fun as well. Like, I know people are like, oh, I can draw. I really think you have to come by for the T1V experience. It is like, I always use this example. It's probably getting old now if you've met me and I've, talked about our solution, but it's like Minority Report. Tom Cruise, that movie, he's like pulling things and moving. You just feel so in control. And our boards are so responsive and smooth that it is a really cool experience. So come by booth 2V300 in Hall 2.
There it is. You got it. Good job. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time. Really looking forward to seeing Avocor in Barcelona at ISE, and good luck with the rest of the last 2 to 3 weeks here. Good luck on the sprint, and we'll be seeing you all real soon. Yeah, thank you so much, Mark, for having me and having such an engaging conversation. This has been amazing. I'm super stoked to see everybody here in a couple weeks. Yep, this will be great. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Well, that was a great conversation, Ben, with Jeff with Avocor. So really excited to see what they're bringing to ISE. I know they're going to have a lot of cutting edge innovation there. So really great job. And I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah, again, another great one to add to the list of booth tours, I imagine, because I think their stand is going to be really interesting too. But yeah, so we've come to the end of another episode of Backstage Pass. The next episode is going to be the last one before the show itself, and we're going to be speaking with Televic and Netgear. So make sure you tune back in for that. But until then, thank you very much indeed, Sam. Always a pleasure to see you. And viewers, listeners, please join us again next week for another episode of Backstage Pass. But until then, I'm Ben Barnard. This is Samantha Powell, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you soon.